It's an issue of doctors prescribing medical marijuana as a treatment for glaucoma or as a cancer treatment. I think that should be appropriate because there really is no difference between that and a doctor prescribing morphine or anything else.
If you can't legalize marijuana, why can't we just legalize medical marijuana to help the people that need it?
Well, you know, a lot of states are making decisions about medical marijuana as a controlled substance. The issue then is, you know, is it being prescribed by a doctor as opposed to, you know, well, I'll leave it at that.
Hi, I'm Tommy Chung. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine who's running a compassion club, cannabis compassion club in Los Angeles. And he was on his way to jail. Was actually on his way to turn himself into the feds to face 8 counts of basically operating a marijuana compassion club. And apparently the Obama administration with Eric Holder are cracking down on all the compassion clubs in California, in Los Angeles for sure, and threatening the landlords and the people with jail time and forfeitures and so
violence. Despite the fact that these marijuana stores operate in violation of federal law, violation of state law, we simply don't have the resources to address them all. In the Northern District of California, I have decided to focus initially on stores that sell marijuana and allow people to smoke.
Now a few items from our Freedom Files. Earlier this week, Freedom Watch told you about the Obama administration's new assault against medical marijuana dispensaries in California. Well, it's not stopping there. It's now warning publishers and broadcasters who are running advertisements for these dispensaries that they're also on the list of the Obama administration's growing number of targets. Listen to this. Newspapers, radio stations, cable television, any other media showing these ads, which are entirely legal under state and federal law, are at risk of federal prosecution. Have the feds forgotten that there's something called the First Amendment, which guarantees free speech?
So I think it's time that we started making our voices a little louder in protest. And one really good way to protest is to sign a petition that we have for to free Mark Emery. And so the way to do that, I'm asking everybody out there to go to this website, sign the petition, let America know, especially the Obama administration, know that Mark Emery is in jail for one of America's ridiculous drug laws, and he should be released immediately. Sign, and then go get high. But get high after you go to this site.
I have to ask this question. Remember, Senator, you are under oath. Did you inhale?
Yeah. Well, you know, I was telling somebody asked this question. I said that was the point.
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Mackenzie Allen. I'm a retired law enforcement officer and member of LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. The so-called war on drugs has been waged for 40 years at a cost of $1 trillion and thousands of lives, with nothing to show for it but increased supplies, cheaper drugs, and a dramatic increase in violence associated with the underworld drug market. Sir, do you think there will or should come a time for us to discuss the possibility of legalization, regulation, and control of all drugs, thereby doing away with the violent criminal market as well as a major source of funding for international terrorism? Thank you so much for your time, Mr. President.
Well, I think this is an entirely legitimate topic for debate. I am not in favor of legalization. I am a strong believer that we have to think more about drugs as a public health problem. When you think about other damaging activities in our society, smoking, drunk driving, making sure you're wearing seatbelts, typically we've made huge strides over the last 20, 30 years by changing people's attitudes. And on drugs, I think that a lot of times we have been so focused on arrests, incarceration, interdiction, that we don't spend as much time thinking about how do we shrink demand. And this is something that within the White House we are looking at very carefully. As I said,
any ideas?
Well, some of this requires shifting resources, being strategic. Where does it make sense for us to really focus on interdiction? We have to go after drug cartels that not only are selling drugs but are also creating havoc, for example, along the U.S.-Mexican border. But are there ways that we can also shrink demand? And in some cities, for example, it may take 6 months for you to get into a drug treatment program.
Right.
Well, if you're trying to kick a habit and somebody says to you, well, come back in 6 months, that's pretty discouraging.
Yeah.
And so we've got to do more in figuring out how can we get some resources on that end of it and make sure that, and also look at what we're doing when we have nonviolent first-time drug offenders. Are there ways that we can make sure that we're steering them into the straight and narrow without automatically resorting to incarceration, drug courts, mechanisms like that? So these are all issues that are worth exploring and worth a serious debate.
In terms of legalization of drugs, I think that the battle, the war on drugs has been an utter failure, and I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws. But I'm not somebody who believes in legalization of marijuana. What I do believe is that we need to rethink how we are operating in the drug wars, and I think that currently we are not doing a good job.
Thank you.